Shalom, friends! Welcome to Orange Socks, a podcast celebrating Jewish creativity. I'm your host, Yitzchak Muli, inviting you to join me in exploring the soul of Jewish expression. Shalom, friends, and welcome.
Thank you for having me.
I am in Sharon Skirter's studio in the UK, in London.
In London.
This is exciting. This is a real treat.
Thank you for coming. Such a treat to have you.
A real treat. I'm in London. Hopefully, perhaps as you know, made a menorah for Chabad of Stamford Hill, and it's up on display. And I'm here to celebrate the menorah and to do a little mural painting, and to come check out the incredible Jewish art scene in London.
More about that later.
Sharon, thank you for inviting me into your space.
Thank you.
I've been seeing your work for, I don't know, a long time.
Years now.
That is.
I'm trying to remember when we first cross paths, saw each other's work years ago.
Yeah. It's 10 years more.
So fun.
How long have you been painting for? Forever, as far as you ask.
Yeah.
But...
I went to art school in 2006, 2007, and then ran away, stayed away, said I would never paint again.
Oh, there's got to be a story there.
I know, it was in Camden in London. It was messy and dirty and alcohol and drugs, and I was like 16 years old, and it was all just very, very heavy. So I stayed away. I went into finance instead.
You've got very good parents. They just send a 16-year-old.
I don't think they realised.
No idea.
I don't think they realised. My mum's an amazing artist, and she and I did a lot of like graphic design courses together, and just, in the evenings. And then she saw this art foundation advertised, and she thought, oh, fabulous idea, so sent me for it. Don't think they appreciated what it entailed.
Right. So that was like after high school?
During high school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's like nights and weekends kind of thing. Like
no,
after
during the day.
Oh, instead of high school?
Yes.
Oh.
Should we tell?
Yeah, of course.
The high school I was at, they didn't think that girls needed to study economics.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Because
we didn't need the A level. So in England we do like A levels instead of, what do you guys do in America?
High school.
Like the last 2 years, do you do like a qualification of any sort?
I know in Australia they do the matric. Whatever it is.
The matric equivalent, we do A levels. So I was doing maths, economics, biology, religious studies. They decided that I didn't need an economics teacher.
This is a Jewish high school.
A Jewish from girls only high school decided that I don't need a teacher. So because I was the only one doing it. So my mum made a secret deal with the school that if she didn't report them that they weren't giving me a teacher, in that time that I should have been...
They will let you go to art school.
They would let me go to art school because I had all that time where I should have been studying for that A-level. I would then have to do it by myself at home and use that time.
Okay, so you're right. So you don't need finance. You needed art.
So that's how I ended up in art school at 16, same time as doing my A-levels.
That's pretty cool.
Full credit to my mum.
That's pretty cool. So during but then after 2 years, by the time you finished high school, that was it. It was just not the right scene for you.
It was so horrible.
Right.
So then I stopped.
Right.
And then I only got back into it in like 2016. 2015, 2016, and then started the selling profession in 2017.
There's a lot there. So, but like the scene, the school was not kosher, we'll call it that. But does that mean that made all of art not kosher for you? Like that did that itself chase you away from art?
Very good question. The professors were very into making the art as provocative and sensual and controversial as possible.
Right.
That was the purpose. And I guess we can touch on it later, but like part of creativity is pushing the boundaries.
Right.
And so their aim was that we would all come out with like very interesting, eye-catching work. But that required a lot of getting high and getting out of touch with your body, and it was done through such means. I guess it means to an end, but it was too much for me at the time.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It's it was too much, and it's still the same.
Right. Well,
it's still the same. That's a lot of getting into art is kind of detaching from societal norms and boundaries and pressures, and kind of just getting free and flowing. But part of being a Jewish artist is figuring out the methods to get there.
Would you say there's any equivalent in the Jewish sphere, in the Jewish world, the Jewish art world? Again, the definition of pushing the envelope is very different. We're definitely not saying to do anything against halacha, but does that concept of pushing the envelope ring true in Jewish art, in Jewish expression, Jewish creativity? Or is by definition Jewish creativity must be safe?
It's a very, very good question. Because you just touched on something. Should it be safe? Like, should the creativity be safe?
Right. I'm giving those as the two alternatives, as though it's a binary, one.
And I think the problem is that because people are desperate to stay safe and still to stay accepted and stay within the realms of convention, that we get art in the Jewish community that all looks the same as each other. Because people are too scared to go just outside of their comfort zone, push the boundaries, create work that's just that slightly bit out there, because of the repercussions that people aren't accustomed to it, and because you have to be quite creative to be able to create something that hasn't been done before.
Yes, I would say, I don't know. I think maybe you're giving too many generic Jewish artists the benefit of the doubt. I don't know how, definitely.
Now, what do you think?
No, there's definitely there's the idea that, okay, we're not going to go there, so it's better to be safe. There's a certain level of truth to that. I think there's a certain level of safety in safety. There's certain, there's we've talked about it before over here, but the generic Jewish art, and it looks like I'm on a bit of a crusade against
the generic Jewish art.
No, because there's so much more potential, so much more power to us as Jewish artists.
Yeah.
And there's so much more to tell, even without, pushing the envelope. But what does pushing the envelope mean? What does being a revolutionary mean? You don't have to go to those, contrary to halacha forms. You can be very much within halacha and be, a revolutionary. You can be a revolutionary in your parenting, and not take your kids, to the edges of cliffs and so on.
I guess meditation, davening, like prayer, those kind of things can maybe tap you into a level where then you can start creating, because you've just got detached from outside world. Get yourself into a studio where it's just very zen, The reason why I love creating is because when I paint, it's not about me. It's literally like my hand's possessed. Whatever's created, which is probably annoying for people. I can't tell you at the beginning what the painting is going to look like.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
You have a direction?
No.
You don't even have a direction?
I have a few notes from what I've been told. If it's a commission, the colour scheme, it needs to match a certain room. The concept-ish. Nothing more.
Really?
Yeah. Nothing more. So that's why I love painting, because it's nothing to do with me. The colours, how it comes out, what I end up, nothing to do with me. I wouldn't have been able to tell you at the beginning, it's going to look like this.
No, that much I get. Like that I can associate with, but that...
Yeah, when you're pouring...
Right.
Your cups.
Right.
Also, how the colours are going to flow and whether the colours are going to mix and how it all works.
Right, but okay, maybe, but with the overflowing, I know no matter what, it's going to look good.
Yeah.
No matter what, it's cohesive. And then if it's not, then I add a little more of this and a little more of that.
And then it will look good.
So I know that the finished product will look good. But when creating a painting, Yeah, I suppose that's abstract,
Yeah.
Like
There'll be a period of time where it looks terrible.
Yes.
Where it looks absolutely terrible.
Right.
And at that point I'll cry and just like, I want to start over, and then I potentially will or won't, and then I push through. It's a very like fascinating process. Push through, and then finally you've got a result where you don't hate it.
You don't hate it. Do you go too far in your paintings?
Yeah.
Yes.
Then you go too far.
Yeah, then you go too far.
Because you don't trust yourself.
Right.
And then
it's
and you look at a picture and you're like, oh, I should have stopped like a week ago because it looked so much better then.
Right. Yeah.
But that's part of like trusting, and then trusting the process, trusting God, trusting. It's just a fascinating thing. So I think this is to your original question. If you do get to a point where you are able to tap into that creativity through means, and if it is alcohol, great. If it's drugs, great. I'm not opposed to anything. It just didn't resonate with me. But you do need something to be able to.
I would say, even if I dare say, that some people in general but they're not actually in touch with their Judaism.
Mm-hmm.
That even their Judaism is kind of by rote, or kind of by
Yeah.
Even the Torah mitzvahs, and even and God bless them. And it's not about knocking anyone, but like everything else, Judaism can just be on a conveyor belt, and it's just, this is what we do because this is what we do, and it doesn't. And I think when someone is really authentic in their Judaism, then they can also be authentic in their artwork, and then it won't look like everyone else's because it'll be their Judaism and it'll be their expression of Judaism. So some things that this is, I'm going to stay safe, is because their Judaism itself is also safe, because their Judaism is not a reflection of them per se, and therefore, where are you allowed to venture off, and what is it me venturing off? Is it my Judaism venturing off? Am I venturing away from my Judaism in order to create, what's allowed and what's not allowed?
But you're a parent. It's very hard, even within Judaism, to be able to explore.
No, I don't think so. I think there's so much to explore within Judaism. Like in math, between 0 and 1, or between 1 and 2, there's an endless, how many decimals in between the two. There's an endless chasm between 1 and 2. So there's so much knowledge in Judaism, so much Torah in Judaism. There's so much, as I tell my 16-year-old daughter, there's so much das. Das is about that emotional relationship to it. Yeah. So it's about learning, but it's about personalizing, and where you personalize and how you personalize is there's so much depth that's available there that I think we need more authentic Judaism, and then we'll get more authentic paintings.
Paintings in there.
But art is all like that. I mean, you look out into the general world and pop art, and there's so much derivative pop art.
Yeah.
That I suppose maybe it comes down to the question is why. What's the purpose of art? What's the purpose of art?
Of art.
The way you see it. And the follow-up question is, what's the purpose of Jewish art?
Oh my.
So,
is there something, is there something called Jewish art? Purpose of art for me is, I see life as very beautiful, and through the ups and downs, the roller coasters, the drama, the sad times, the difficult times, etc. Art has been a bit of a salvation for me. It's been an opportunity to recognize that there's, the sun will rise again. There's there's that glimmer of hope, that flicker, that light at the end of a very, very dark tunnel. And art can express that. In a painting, you have dark and you have light, and you have just everything, and you need both to be able to have the composition together. There's some paintings that will have, one just white, and I know that people love like just light, but then you put like one dot, and that dot will bring out the white even more. So to me, that contrast and that the textures just represent, I think, our lives. Like life's not dandy. It's not rosy. It's tough. Right. But it was never meant to be easy.
Right.
Like from a religious perspective, we're here and we've been here plenty of times on this earth before in previous lives to do a job and to get our purpose sorted and to accomplish. And so to me, to be able to encapsulate that onto canvas is just such an honor, and I love it. So that for me, the purpose of my art is that people can recognize, like, you know, just that they can recognize maybe a little bit of what I've been able to capture, which is, you know, joy and laughter and happiness, and that, you know, and just to be able to kind of hand it out to people so that maybe they can tap into their own happiness and joy and that glimmer and the little things that they can be appreciative of and have gratitude for in maybe for them very dark times, but there is, even in that darkness, beauty.
Right.
And to me, that's really important for people to remember.
To give them the opportunity to pause, to
pause.
Remember, to see things in someone else's perspective.
Yeah. That's that to me. And then what is Jewish art? Oh my.
Well, the why of Jewish art. Is there anything different?
Well, yeah.
What you just said, how does it, with that Venn diagram, how does how does that compare to the same question?
To the same question. So if I think of my like artistic influences, it would probably be like David Hockney, because he's just always exploring different mediums, new ideas, new techniques, bringing in photography, printing with paint, his iPad use, you know, he's just always trying different things, etc. New. And I love doing that, like all my different mediums. You've seen now, I've got like a lot of materials, all sorts. And then my second main influence is Marc Chagall. And so to me, he is the epitome of drawing from his experiences of life and trying to then kind of put that onto canvas. So when I think about Jewish art, I think of, you can have something that's beautiful and meaningful and has depth to it. But once you've got like religion involved and a, you know, real spiritual a charge to it, that, you know, that painting goes up a level. It's 100 times. The voltage of that painting is just 100 times stronger, because there's a meaning to it then. It has a symbolism. It's an emblem of sorts. It's just, like I'm like, everyone needs to have Jewish art, but like proper Jewish art on their walls, because you don't realise your house is just, it's like your house has the Siddur and it has the, I don't know, Sepharim, the books, the Jewish prayer, whatever you want to have, and then you'll have your painting, and that just elevates your home. It's not just any home anymore. It's your home, and it's not just your home, but it's a home of representing your values, and that painting gives the story of who the people are who live in that home, or whether that painting is in an office or an event hall. So to me, Jewish art just allows the subject matter, and I do a lot of abstract, so that it's not necessarily obvious at first glance, a depth to it.
Right.
Just like how I feel like Marc Chagall was able to present spirituality on the canvas as well.
Yeah. What you said, I felt like I wanted to record it as it was happening, but today I met Rabbi Shmuel Lu, who one of the senior Chabad rabbis in London, and I said, "Oh, you're an artist." He tells me that that Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, when he met him, however many years ago, when Jonathan Sachs was a student in college, or wherever, but that Jonathan Sachs asked the Rebbe, you know, I'm a cultured man, you know, the theater or the music and literature, and so on. Like, how does Judaism relate to it? Is it okay? Is it not okay? And the Rebbe said, absolutely, it's okay. And of course, that it's as long as it's in align with Torah mitzvahs. But that, let's see if I can say this right. But that understanding literature and all these through the lens of Chassidus, through the lens of Torah, seeing it gives the literature so much more depth and so much more meaning, and so much, the literature, the music, the whatever it is, as you just described, that seeing it with a true Jewish lens, elevates it so much more than what it is on its own. And I think and that Abib says, and that makes up for all the part that you can't experience. So yeah, really true, authentic, deep Jewish creativity in all its forms.
Yeah.
When it's tapped into its source, are very, very powerful.
It's just like, why not? Why wouldn't you? If you have the opportunity to do a cute paint party, or they have the opportunity to do one of your workshops, it's the same event, but it's not.
Right.
There's a tilting to it. It's just like you're coming out of that event, and there's just, something on the basis that we're all meant to be improving day by day and working ourselves in different ways. That workshop will have just refined something in some which a regular paint party can't do, because it doesn't have those underpinning values.
Right. Yeah, I have my whole speech when I do these events, and really my underlying idea is that everyone needs to find their soul. Everyone needs to find their uniqueness, their contribution, everyone has a unique soul. Everyone's here for a purpose. Find that and share that with the world. A part of my speech towards the end, as I'm wrapping up, is that you're going to take home this painting. Yeah. You're going to put it up on display somewhere. When you walk past it, every so often think about this message. Think about this idea of how are you sharing your individuality? How are you sharing your uniqueness? And I've been told that I've done I've done this for a long time now, but I did one for an elementary school in Florida years ago, and now some of the kids are now they're 17, they're 18. It's like, I've had it in my bedroom for all these years, and they connect with it, and they see themselves in it, and they see meaning in it, and they see depth in it, and it's not just a picture. It's not just something that's cool. It's not something that's isn't out, but it's a little bit of them on the canvas.
It reminds me, actually, I just got a message from a school. They said that they were learning about art and techniques and expressionism, and etc., etc. And they sent me a photo, and they've taken my painting, Sharon Skirter art, and then they've all copied my painting. And they've all done, and the teachers sent me the funniest letters saying, they think that their work is better than yours. I was like, thanks. Terrible. They're like 6 years old, but how fun!
Yeah.
That you're copying the Van Goghs and the etc. But you're also copying paintings.
So they do that. Preschools do that. I've received messages from around the world, but that it's a wonderful thing. It really is a wonderful thing. And there's a school in Long Island, Hafter. Got to give a huge shout out to Hafter, because every year they invite me and we do something for the 4th grade kids.
Wow.
And they do a study, and they do, maybe Chagall, and they do like 5 or 6 artists.
Yeah.
Mogliani, I forget. I don't remember what, but like there's a standard things that these different artists they do, and they invite me in to come and to talk to the kids, and they invite me because here's a living Jewish artist who, is living his Yiddishkeit and creating art, and that there's something alive to it that they can connect with, and they can. So then they invite me for this evening of the arts, and the kids are all proud, and they all get all dressed up, and the parents come and they sing. They put on a production, and all the kids' art is on display for them and their families to see. And it's the silk screen workshops that we do together. But it's their art that they've made of a living, breathing Jewish.
So let me ask you a question then on that, because this is one of my pet peeves, but I'll ask you it first. Do you think, a painting to me is basically the soul of the artist, and the technique and the training and the education, etc., on a wall, or in your case more in 3D form. So one of my pet peeves is I go into really lovely people's homes or institutions, events, buildings, etc. And I see these like paintings from like randomness.
Right.
And they'll tell me you total tortured soul, this guy. And he totally lost. He's now roaming the streets of who knows what, and and I'm like, why do you have such weird people?
Right.
So weird people's souls on your wall.
Walls. Right.
Don't you realize like the impact that has?
The energy that you're bringing.
The energy that you're bringing into the home.
Yeah.
But maybe it's just me. So that's why also, like, to me, like when we talk about Jewish art, to be able to have someone that that they've got the values of what they're bringing onto the canvas is just a bit more. I don't know if it's the word is wholesome, or if it's just more the positive energy, or if it's just more solid energy. I don't know if I'm explaining myself correctly, but I find it so amusing or disturbing that people don't realize that when they've got these pieces on their wall from fragmented souls, that energy from that canvas is seeping into the home.
Right.
But I don't know, what's your thoughts on that?
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
Like, why expose yourself to that kind of energy? And there must be a reason. I don't know what if they're tortured to some degree, or their life is just way too wonderful, and they need some angst, and they got to bring some angst into the house.
We can be tortured as well. We're artists after all. We're artists after all. Like, it's okay. But it's not.
My bank account is tortured. Yeah. My soul is just fine.
But the soul element, it's just, I find it fascinating.
And you know what? Maybe that's part of why, a lot of Orthodox or from Jewish homes don't have art or don't have a focus on art, because, they're not ready to bring in, or they're not open to bringing in other energies, even though there's many energies that come through the home, and in magazines and in books and in smartphones, even if there's no TV. But they'll have an image of a rebbe, of a wise man, of a chacham, and then they'll have family photos, and then art is it's an afterthought in a lot of that's part of our crusade, my crusade. To get people to want to realize there's a value and a power to original art.
Yeah.
In the home.
In the home, yeah.
Even though there's so much more to creativity in art than a painting in a home.
Yeah.
Like now is Hanukkah, and all about menorahs, and that's my whole idea. But public art, in its form, is by definition out in the public. It's art in the public, for the public. Mm-hmm. Nobody has an owner. It doesn't belong to anyone. Yes, all the Banksies get taken down and put on display, but that the nature of the art itself is for the public. And again, that's the energy that different artists put out there. Maybe people don't see the value of bringing art into their homes, bringing that energy into the homes, or they feel that they have enough energy. I don't know. It's for these people, is art just, I have an empty space on the wall.
Yeah.
Let me find something.
Let me find, and I'll go to like.
And what will fit with my sofa and my or is it?
They'll go to Target and pick up some TJ Maxx, and they'll pick up some random.
Versus, there's a whole. Not in my soul, but there's an emptiness that could be filled with a piece of art on the wall. So I had a show years ago. This is one of my turning points. It was, I don't know if it was 2012, even before that, I forget, that I had a show in Kingston Avenue in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, where during Sukkot, they blocked the streets off, and there's a dance party. There's dancing, music and dancing playing literally till 6 a.m. And so there was a storefront right on the main drag that was selling lulav and mesregim, which meant that once Sukkot began, that's it. The business is over. The store is empty. So I said, "What are you doing with this space?" And they said, eventually someone's going to rent it and turn it into a store and whatever. So I found the owner. I said, I rented it for $1,000 for the week. At the time, it was a lot of money. And I invited a whole lot of artists to come and to participate. Wow. And it was titled Chassidin with Color. And if you define yourself as a chassid, you have color to share, come and floor to ceiling. We covered the whole thing. But really, of relevance to this conversation now is that a lot of people came through. And some people from Williamsburg, from Bar Park, from the Hasidic community, they walked in, they saw floor to ceiling paintings, and they go, so what's this? So it's a gallery, it's art, but what's this? It's like, but what's this? Like, they couldn't get it, whether it was a financial thing or not a financial thing. It was like, but what's the purpose? What for? They just couldn't get it. And then one young 16-year-old Hasidic boy with the payas and the hat and everything, he walked in. He was alive. He was just drinking the whole thing in. I'm like, it's worth it just for that.
Yeah.
Is that he got it. He felt it in his soul. He felt the need. Where he is today, I don't know. Hopefully he's painting himself, or he's creating in some form or other, but he got it, and then, as you said, with the tortured souls, there's some people who get it, some people who don't get it, some people who want the positive energy, people who don't want the positive energy. So we gotta keep on keeping on.
But the Torah has enough reference to art for us to understand that is important. But Salah was, let's say, one of the first artists out there. We can see already from then how important creation, moulding, making things as beautiful as they can be. We can see from there the importance of that. So where's that got lost along the way?
Honestly, I think part of it is that people don't know what they're missing. They're not aware that they're missing something, and the whole, a poor person doesn't know of, it's a bad comparison, but a comparison of a poor person doesn't know of the luxuries that the rich person has that would make their life so much easier or better or whatever it is. They're not missing it. They're not feeling that they don't have the things that they don't know about. And I think a lot of people are not aware, even music, like real, authentic, Raza, I think that's what it is. I'm forgetting names. I really want to have her on. But a young Chabad woman who does nigunim for female-only voices.
Wow.
And it's a gathering, together of just female voices, and they sing together, and they record it. But that powerful experience is such a powerful experience. And those who don't have the experience, you just put on the radio, you put on the Jewish noise, and it's wonderful and it's great, and you bounce to it. But they don't know that there's a different music that's not so far away from this music that has such soul and such depth and such a transformative experience. But they don't even know that they're missing. So I think
they don't know.
They don't know. Yeah, and so it's our job. I think it's our job. As we were discussing earlier, it's our job to educate and to keep on, encouraging people to have, to art, to have the conversation, to have, what does art bring to the table? What does art add? What does Jewish art add to the Jewish community?
But if you're talking about the soul and people being able to find themselves, etc., exactly as you're saying, we have forgotten, and maybe that's through the persecution or etc., we've forgotten that creativity is a very easy, straightforward route for those who it connects to be able to tap into godliness.
Right.
Someone can sense godliness through a painting, through listening to the music, through singing, through writing, and these are things that have not been so well financed or sponsored or recognized in the Jewish community. I went to a beautiful singer the other night, Devera Schwartz, and it was just the most magical evening. Like, I got dragged along by my mum. I didn't even intend to go to Stamford Hill, where your menorah is currently standing. So very near to there. It was a beautiful hall. There were hundreds of women and girls, and it was just so magical, so transformative. And I was thinking, such a shame, because the arts in the non-Jewish world, you have governments fund the arts because they recognise
the value
and the power of it. And the Jewish community, we just don't have that concept yet. We don't have the concept that people are funding musicians and artists to create, to want to contribute to the Jewish conversation and not have to make a living go outside of the community to create for the masses.
Right.
Because maybe through persecution, and we've got enough going on in through our history, but maybe people don't recognize how important it is to be able to use these mediums to be able to connect.
Right.
I don't know. It's a shame.
Yeah, I think it's more than anything else. I think they don't realize what they're missing.
Honestly.
And it's what they talk about. With the galus is what's called in Hebrew choshech chaful mechupel, a double darkness. That it's dark. It's so dark you don't realize it's dark.
Yeah.
You're so quote unquote deprived that you don't realize there's an alternative, that there's something else. And then once you do, Israel is alive with with music and with composites and with different things that you can. There is, I feel there's a lot more creativity going on there. There's a different conversation about defining Jewish art, religious art versus not religious art, and the place of orthodoxy or Harediism in Israeli society, and that's a different subject to deal with and to overcome. But people are just so busy with life; they're just so burdened down by just nature. I mean, you're describing all these things. Nature is takes your breath away. But how many people make it a point of, let me go into nature?
Yeah.
The Japanese have what they call nature bathing. A doctor will write a script to go spend time in nature, spend half an hour a day in a forest. The Japanese are really forward in a lot of ways. But, thank God for your not getting a teacher that you were prescribed. Go off and do a little creativity.
Yeah, create. And I was trained exceptionally well, so it all works out in the end. I was trained by the real top artists. So my training,
your technical training,
my technical training is excellent. I'm very blessed in that sense. But it was an annoying but long way. Now I can look back and smile about it. And even at the time when I was in the college, it was great.
Right. I
just knew that it wasn't the right environment that I wanted to stay in.
Right.
But I guess similar to what you said about Jewish art, the world even then was even quieter in the world of Jewish art was even less than it is now.
Right.
So even then, and when there was no social media, etc., there wasn't even an opportunity for me to see role models and other people who were doing and were creating and were also Orthodox Jewish. I didn't have anyone to look up to, so I didn't even think it was an option. And maybe nowadays, as more of us start to raise the profile a bit, maybe people can see that it is a viable option and the two can coincide.
Right, it's a viable option. Finances aside, finances and selling art and having a market for art is again another conversation. It's more right now we're talking about the soul side of it, and we need it as artists. We need to create, and there are days where I don't create. I'm more becoming busy with a lot of the technical background, rather than actually hands on a canvas. But when I do get to create it, it completely changes my mood. And
professional artists.
Well, there's so many hats to wear.
Professional artists, you don't actually end up 100% of your time in the studio. That's part of the.
Well, yes, yeah, but with my, the public art, with the menorahs, producing a menorah, one day it's, just preparing to weld. You're not even welding. You're just, schlepping things, or you just there's so many steps in the creative process that, only at the end you stand back and be able to go, wow. But, until then, and as much as I love it and I want to do public art, I see a deep value and need for public art. Again, art in the public square, in the public space that is deeply Jewish, authentically Jewish. It doesn't have to be classic Judaica. It's not about, it's about the source of where it's coming from. But it's a very long journey.
Yeah. Well, that's then.
And I'm an ADD. I need instant gratification. So you got to have 5 things going on at once so that these longer goals, there are enough checkpoints along the way that, I feel like I'm getting somewhere.
But then that's also, as in, let's not be like, working and earning money was a punishment. And so if you are an artist and you are earning money through it, it's a tough gig. It's a job.
Right.
It's a career. It's a job.
Right.
So we can talk about the beautifulness and the fairiness of it. But I always will, when I meet an artist, I'm brutal. I say, well, are you making the money from it? i.e., are you doing the marketing, the sales, the operations?
Right.
Because then you're proper professional artist, because you're doing it all and you're creating and you're coming up with new ideas. That's next level. Right.
In a way that just remind me of in India, there's the gurus, and apparently within this particular group or whatever it is, but there's 2 kind of gurus. There's the gurus who go off in the mountain and meditate, and then there's other gurus who live in the city and have a job, and they're still gurus. and that's really and really that's a very Judaic, it's a very Hasidic, a very Jewish concept of not just living on a mountain in Tibet, not just having this being able to create art with no strings attached, but living it and being able to live in the world and have a family and have bills and
everything,
and do the marketing and the production and the everything, and then still have enough mental space to be able to still create.
But I think part of the beauty of that is because if our job is to be beautifying the world, is that a word? I'm not sure. I'll pretend for tonight that it is. Our job in that is also to communicate that out to the world. So I don't think, and maybe this is a Jewish thing, I'm not sure, I don't think our job is done by just creating the paintings and having them stored away in an attic. I think our job is then communicating, explaining, trying to get people to understand what the art is about, what they're seeing, to encourage them, to sell to them, to market, to try and encourage people to have these pieces in public spaces, on walls, etc., so that the message can then spread far and wide. And that is it's hard. That's like another full-time job. You're not just creating for them, then you're also spreading the message.
Right.
It's a really tough gig.
Right.
But I wonder if that's part of then the artist's, especially maybe a Jewish artist's job, to be able to spread Torah and Judaism through.
Yeah, 100%. That's exactly, that is it. That is, and I'm in my understanding. The money can take care of itself. The money will, whatever. Having commercial success or having, that is an integral part, and people respect it more when there is commercial success. But really, fundamentally, it's about, us sharing our love of Judaism, the elements within our love of Judaism, and showcasing that enough that other people will connect to that mitzvah, that idea, that something. Yeah, and I like to say, nothing bothers me more than, Untitled number 74 at the MoMA, which is an abstract painting, and with no context, and it's just lazy. I find it lazy. At the same time, one of the artists that had a major impact on me is a French-Canadian artist, Jean-Pierre Lafrance, from Montreal or Quebec City. And I went to a gallery, and there were huge paintings, like almost the size of this wall. An abstract. It took my breath away. And I didn't get close enough to see what the title was or what the description was.
Yeah.
But there was so much passion in there. There was so much, and I'll say, to be honest, I get some credit for that exchange, because so many other people came in and they go, oh, it's pretty or whatever, and they kept going. They didn't see it. I saw it and it had an impact on me. And that was one of my steps along my journey, and my whole, abstract phase came from seeing his work and communicating such deep passion, even though he's not Jewish and I don't know what he was passionate about necessarily. Yeah. But there was life and there was passion and there was, maybe a tortured soul.
A message.
But there was a message.
Souls are all good.
Well, some were red and deep and heavy, and some were more...
A fragmented soul.
Right.
Tortured souls are all good. We're all tortured souls. We've all got things that we're working on, things that we're not good at, dark sides, right. Light. I probably will change it to fragmented soul, which is just someone who's just so...
Right, out to lunch. Right.
Just so lost, and there's just so nothing there. That's just, there is nothing there.
Right. No, we got to be. We're on a journey. As long as we're on a journey, yeah. As long as we're trying to take one step forward, in the pursuit of betterness rather than the pursuit of hedonism
and nothingness.
And nothingness. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, we're on to something.
Yeah. Change the world. With colour.
With colour. So do you said earlier that like you arrive at a canvas and you don't know what it's going to be.
Yeah.
Do you have like bodies of work? Do you have like a series that you're trying to make, or every single canvas is you just show off and you see what shows it, find what happens?
I do collections.
You do collections.
So I do collections, and that then allows me to have a bit of a focus, and it also allows my collectors and clients to roughly-ish know what's going to happen. So with a commission, it will be a one of a kind, my commissions are one of a kind. I don't ever do them again.
So if it doesn't work?
No, it will end up working.
Okay.
It might take me half a year.
Okay.
I had a commission, it took me nearly 2 years. That's what it ended up taking me.
Right.
But my collectors know it will never happen again. Firstly, because I'm ADHD and I do not have the patience to create it again. And secondly, I wouldn't be able to create it again.
Right.
There's just no I don't remember how that technique, I don't know how it... I don't know how
So I'm not the only one.
I don't know how it happened. Someone said to me, like, write everything down, like, do this, do that. But then what? I'm writing it down, and then I've got my stupid tripod and my lighting, because I've got to like record for social media. Like, there's way too much going on. What ends up happening is I don't record anything, and it's like midnight, and I'm in my pajamas, and we're just creating and But what I have done now is then I do collections. I had like the Burst collection, which was like bright explosions of colour, and it was all a reflection about childbirth and potential from nothingness to just everything, and that was filled with crystal. I've done the Rome collection that was around the connection between Jerusalem and Rome and all the elements of it, whether it's the cobbled stones and everything. So that was a very interesting all about how when the Jews were exiled to Rome and then went back to Jerusalem, had all the different components of that. I've done the To Be a Jew collection, and that was about anti-Semitism and what it's like in our world at the moment to be a Jew and all of that. And I'm working on a new collection. So I do then try to have a few pieces that all make sense together. Not that I know. And then I make up their names at the end.
Well, the names are very important. But they come together.
I know.
They're really a reflection of the piece itself. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you a secret. Yoram Ranan, when he gets a commission, as far as I'm aware, he makes 3. Kind of at the same time. And so he's working on all 3. And then I think, and I could be wrong, but that the client gets to choose 3. Maybe he just decides which one is the right one for them. And if they don't like it, the other ones. But then the other ones find a home somewhere. So he makes 3 at a time. And then maybe what he feels is the best
thing
of the 3 that, so you go. Now you can make 3 at once.
Wow.
Okay. This is good.
Yeah.
This is good.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Now I'm like thinking as we're discussing as well, concepts and ideas that I hadn't really had been able to formulate or express into words. Yeah.
That's good.
Very useful.
So there's one last question.
Yeah.
That we close up these the Orange Socks podcast with. And the question is, what's your advice for young creatives, for them to find their orange socks, for them to find their personality and personal journey and creativity?
Specifically for creatives.
For creatives. Artists.
My advice. It's funny because I get asked maybe once a week by young people. Oh, no. I was like, don't do it. It's my advice. Okay, so I guess there's two aspects to it. My advice in terms of being a creative and being able to make the world a more beautiful place, I can talk to that for a long time and I'll discuss that. And then there's a second piece, which is to make it a viable business and to make it a career that you can rely on as a source of income for your family and to have it as your job. And they're two very different things. So from a creativity perspective, explore role models, find beauty in places that you didn't expect. Open your eyes and you will see. Walk in the streets on a piece of grass into the forest, and there's beauty everywhere, and there's beauty that can be captured and painted. Push the limits. We said at the beginning, sometimes you do end up ruining a painting because you go too far. That's okay. Go too far. And then with time, you'll realize that you've gone too far and you'll start to rein it in just that bit. But it takes the practice. Keep painting. Keep trying out things. You'll also find sometimes people don't like what you make. That's okay. I've got paintings here from 10 years ago that no one will ever buy. Or maybe someone will, who knows. But just keep going and just make sure that what I say, my biggest advice I say to people is just make sure that what you're creating is you. Like no one's, when I see painting and I see people's art, I can tell immediately. And I think that's why we connected. I can see that that's Yitzhak Mooley's art done. It's not a question. Is it your art? Yes, it's yours. And this, we can go white and gold paintings and all the generic Jewish art out there. It's not them. It's not a reflection of who they are and what they have to give. Like people, every individual is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful soul and a beautiful person. Like you're a beautiful, incredible person. Make sure that your output reflects that. So just be careful. You can have your generic work that's commercially pleasing and easy to be sold, but also just make sure that the work that you're both proud of is you. Yeah, that would be my piece of advice.
Amen.
Yeah.
Sharon?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
היום נעשה משהו בלתי נשכח